Hello and welcome to Thursday, the 13th of August. Here on the, where am I? Oh, yes, the morning sports briefing. You know what? Stephen got me all lined up with a date, so I didn't forget that, but I forgot the rest of the intro instead. Brilliant. There we go. Professional to the last, or even at the first. There we go. This week, in this morning on the morning sports briefing, we have the A-League updates. Perth Glory have lost out to Western United. The Champions League should be kicking off right now. Hafez takes turn on the naughty step. The Highlanders and Hurricanes will be going ahead, even if it is behind closed doors. Could RTS be on the move? Yes, that's from the sport that keeps on giving. And in the netball, they have cancelled their last round. And finally, we also have updates from the Winter Games, where the Obisdan Big Air took place. Let's kick off with that football news so that you can start your day the best way, up to speed with all of the important sports news. Perth Glory lost out to Western United 0-2. And also the Western Sydney Wanderers beat Melbourne Victory 1-0. Now, what does that all mean? Well, it means we very nearly know all of our finalists now, even with a couple of games left, because Western United now have climbed above Adelaide United. They've got 2 games left to play, whereas Adelaide United have played all of their games, and they're on even points. So as long as Western United can pick up 1 point in their last 2 games, they'll definitely finish in the final spaces. Or the only way now for Adelaide United to climb back is if Western United's goal difference drops dramatically. So at the moment, Western United have got a +10 goal difference, whereas Adelaide United got a -5 goal difference. So that would mean, yes, Western United letting in 16 more goals in the next 2 games than they score. Very unlikely. That means your finalists are going to be Sydney FC, Melbourne City, Wellington Phoenix, Brisbane Roar, Perth Glory, and most likely Western United. It's not mathematically certain yet, that last one, as I've said, but it's most likely to happen. The only sort of real alteration that might happen is that Wellington Phoenix are just 3 points behind Melbourne City. So if they win and Melbourne City lose, the Phoenix could climb up into a 2nd place there. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you as well. As I said, right now the Champions League is just kicking off, and we've got Atalanta versus Paris Saint-Germain. It should have kicked off in the last couple of minutes. Currently, that is 0-0, unsurprisingly, as they've only just started. I'm going to hand you over now to Ashwin, who will take us through our cricket update.
Good morning, Paul, and good morning to all the viewers on the interweb and listening to us out there. So, as Paul has mentioned, Mohammad Hafiz has taken his turn on the naughty step. Mohammad Hafiz has been isolated from the Pakistan squad for breaching biosecurity protocols after he posed for a photo with a member of the public. Now, Pakistan all-rounder had tweeted a photo that was clicked on the golf course that's next to the hotel, which is also next to the Aegeus Bowl, where they will be playing tonight. The all-rounder had taken a COVID-19 test, and the results are expected back today. The all-rounder isn't part of the Pakistan Test squad. He's part of the Pakistan T20 squad, so it won't impact their matchday selection, which we go on to now. And Pakistan will select from an unchanged squad of 16 for the 2nd test, which will start, as I mentioned tonight, New Zealand time, at the Aegeus Bowl in Southampton. Going to the English squad, and James Anderson has the backing of his captain. Now, Joe Root has backed Anderson to recover from a disappointing performance in Manchester and confirmed he will be playing in the 2nd test against Pakistan at the Aegeus Bowl today. How many times can I say Aegeus Bowl? I suppose I have to look at that. England named a 14-man squad for the 2nd test and will have to make at least one change to the side, as Ben Stokes will be coming back to New Zealand for family reasons tonight. That means that Zach Crawley will most likely slot back into the number 3 spot, Joe Root shifting down to number 4, which is his preferred position in the side. And moving on to news outside of England, Shakib Al Hassan's ban could end in time for the series with Sri Lanka. The series with Sri Lanka was postponed from June and was rescheduled to start on the 24th of October. Now, the Bangladesh Cricket Board is hoping to include ace all-rounder Shakib Al Hassan at some stage during the upcoming tour. Well, as I mentioned, the tour starting on October 24th, his ban actually ends on that same day. Now, one thing that he can't do while he is still banned is train with the team. And in the story that I missed yesterday, you're never too old to be told off by your parents. Dad has fined Stuart Broad for using bad language on the field. Stuart Broad was picked up by Chris Broad, Dad, for swearing following the dismissal of Yasir Shah in the first test at Old Trafford. He was fined 15% of his match fee, but we have not been able to confirm rumours that Dad made him wash his mouth out with soap. So, and finally, make sure that you're joining Swinging from the Hip tonight at 8 p.m. New Zealand time. We will be talking about the first test between England and Pakistan, and we'll be looking forward to the second test, which starts tonight, also between England and Pakistan. I'll be joined by Tasif Sadi, and we've got our expert Pakistan comment there coming in for Taz. So all that and all your regular features right here on New Zealand Sport Radio with Swinging from the Hip, your place for your cricketing fix. And Paul, that's our cricket sports news for today.
Thank you very much, Ashwin. And I'm just going to do some football extra time, as I forgot to one story over there. Gary Hooper has been ruled out of Thursday's match for the Phoenix against the Newcastle Jets. So their chance of closing. Sorry, he tweaked his hand. And because as he tweaks his hamstring in the act of scoring against the Brisbane Roar. So yes, their chances of closing that gap and getting that second place, it has been dented by that. Hopefully he'll be back for the final series. I'm now going to hand you over to Stephen, who's going to take us through our birthdays.
Yeah, thank you, Paul, and good morning, everybody tuning into New Zealand Sport Radio. In birthdays today, the most capped New Zealand Sevens player, a fiery English-born fast bowler who terrified many New Zealand first-class batsmen, a former New Zealand cricketer turned broadcaster, and that's where we start things this morning. Craig Cumming, born this day, the 31st of August 1975, in Timaru, is a former New Zealand cricketer. He played with the Pare Ora Cricket Club and the New Zealand cricket team, one-day internationals and tests. He also was the captain of the Otago cricket team, competing in the state championship, state shield, and the state 2020 competitions in the 2006-2007 season. Cumming has also been a regular commentator on Sky's coverage of cricket, as well as hosting various NZME radio shows. Staying with cricket, a man that Ashwin will know back in the day, Neil Mallender, born this day, the 13th of August 1961, is a former English cricketer born in Kirk Sandal, Yorkshire. Mallender was a right-arm fast-medium bowler and right-hand lower-order batsman who improved as his career progressed. He played first-class cricket for in England for Northamptonshire between 80 and 86, 95 and 1996, and for Somerset between 87 and 1994. Now, this is the interesting bit here. He also played for Otago between 1983 and 84, and again between 92 and 93. He captained the side in 1990 to 1991 and 91 and 92. Now, the thing with Mallender is he was a very, very good, fiery, first-class bowler, and he terrorised a lot of batsmen. And he seemed to save his best for when he played against Auckland as well. And there was a trainer thought that he would probably end up turning maybe playing for New Zealand at some stage, didn't quite eventuate. Finally, Tim Mickelson, born this day, the 13th of August 1986, in Matamata, is a New Zealand Rugby Union player. Mickelson plays for the New Zealand National Rugby Sevens team and is the most capped player in the team's history, surpassing former captain DJ Forbes' record when he played his 90th tournament in Los Angeles in 2020. Mickelson was then named the player of the tournament for the 2013 Rugby Sevens World Cup and also received IRB Sevens Player of the Year for the 2012-2013 season. Mickelson has scored more than 200 career tries for New Zealand in the World Rugby Sevens Series, putting him third on the all-time try-scoring list in that particular competition. But I was going to say, Ashwin, can you remember Neil Mullender, terrorising New Zealand first-class batsman throughout the years?
Yeah, first-class batsman, and as you say, I mean, like it's like in a lot of sports, everybody lives to go and play an Auckland team, don't they? So, now definitely remember Neil Mullender and playing for Otago in our domestic competition. Yeah,
very, very fiery fast bowler, wasn't he?
Yes, absolutely. They all seem to go to Otago and get fiery. Wagner, for another good example.
Yeah, it's like they come with a chip on their shoulder when they get there.
He came from England. Wags came from South Africa. Yeah, go to Otago and get angry.
And anyway, I'm going to throw you to another Englishman. He hasn't quite got a chip on his shoulder, but he's got this morning's rugby news.
What? Hey, good segue. Oh, me. Oh, yes. Hello, everybody. Don't forget, you can listen to New Zealand Sports Radio on the go. Just download the iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Acast, even the TuneIn app. You can listen to the podcast on the go. In rugby, and the Highlanders versus the Hurricanes is going ahead this weekend on Saturday. Even if the country is still in a level 2 COVID situation, if it is, then it'll be behind closed doors due to the restrictions on crowd numbers. But the Blues versus Crusaders game is to be determined at this point, depending on what the COVID levels are in Auckland. The game will either be played or cancelled. They are not looking at postponing the game as there is just not time to play the rest of the games this season. All the Super Rugby franchises have been naming their players of the year as well. Ash Dixon and Aaron Smith were named co-player of the year down there in for the Highlanders. Frizzell also got a mention down there as well. The Blues, it was Patrick Tuipulotu who was the top man, unsurprisingly. For the Chiefs, Sam Cane. The Hurricanes, Geordie Barrett was named the player there. So yes, that's being up to date with your rugby news. I'm going to hand you back to Stephen, who's going to take us through our league news, the sport that just keeps on giving.
Paul, I certainly am, and we have got plenty of league news this morning. Could RTS be on the move, and could it be to the Blues? And things go bad to worse for the Broncos. And, of course, we'll preview tonight's Roosters Storm game, first game of round 14. In fact, you know what? That's where I'm going to start. The two dominant clubs of recent times, the Sydney Roosters and the Melbourne Storm, will face off tonight in the opening game of round 14 in the NRL at the Sydney Cricket Ground, with both coming off strong last start victories. At least one of these clubs has appeared in each of the past 4 NRL Grand Finals, with the Storm featuring in 2016, 2017 and 2018, and the Roosters playing in and winning the past 2. The Premiers down the Dragons last week without 9 injured players and having dropped regular halfback Kyle Flanagan. Melbourne, meanwhile, defied the absence of injured skipper Cameron Smith to blow the Bulldogs away early on the Sunshine Coast. With neither club is at full strength, this could be an early preview to this year's Premiership decider. Kickoff is this evening from 9:50 p.m. Remembering that's at the SCG, the Sydney Cricket Ground. We move along to the Brisbane Broncos. Well, the NRL NRL's integrity unit is investigating claims up to 10 Brisbane Broncos players attended a Brisbane pub earlier this month and may have breached COVID-19 protocols. The NRL is attempting to ascertain whether the players breached the protocols or if at the time of the pub visit the Broncos were permitted to attend the restaurant area to have lunch. There you go. There's the little basic capex in there that they're throwing in to get around it. The COVID-19 protocols have been altered for NRL players over the course of the last month. Initially, they were relaxed before a second wave of COVID led to state borders being closed and players being forced back into stricter border bubble restrictions. Reportedly, the players in questions included David Fafita, Kotoni Staggs, Jake Turpin, Ben Teo, Corey Oates, and Brody Croft. An eyewitness who was at the bar at the same time the players were reported the incident, which violates NRL protocols. There we go. And, of course, some big breaking news. Could RTS be on the move? Star Warriors captain Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is reportedly considering a premature exit from the club. According to Australia's Daily Telegraph, Tuivasa-Sheck is eyeing a shock cross-code switch, while stand-out forward Tohu Harris is reportedly seeking a release from the embattled Auckland-based NRL side. The possibility of being based in Australia and separated from their families again next season has both players eyeing a departure. The Daily Telegraph reports Tuivasa-Sheck has 2 years remaining on his contract, while Harris has 1 year left on his $700,000 contract. There has been some speculation about a possible Tuivasa-Sheck move, which we will get to shortly. While several NRL clubs have inquired about the availability of he and Harris, the loss of both players, arguably the team's two premier talents, would be an enormous blow to the club's future. And of course, that future, where does it lie? Well, Warriors skipper Tuivasa-Sheck to the Blues in Super Rugby. The rumours just won't go away. 2 years after his agent denied he was switching codes in Auckland, the report said the Blues had made contact with Tuivasa-Sheck as uncertainty continues over where the Warriors will be based next year amid COVID-19. He would be tempted to leave the club for the Blues if the Warriors had to spend another year based in Australia, according to reports. Tuivasa-Sheck has 2 years remaining on his $1 million per season deal. I don't know if the Blues will be able to match that. In 2018, Tuivasa-Sheck's agent Bruce Sherritt denied a report saying a switch to the Blues was a done deal before he re-signed with the Warriors amid interest from New Zealand rugby. Tuivasa-Sheck was born in Samoa and starred for Otahu College, making the New Zealand secondary schools rugby side. While some Warriors opted to return home to Auckland this year because of their families couldn't join them at the Australian base, Tuivasa-Sheck remained with the side. So he's certainly loyal in that respect, but I suppose when you are away from home, it all becomes a wee bit of a drag at the end of the day. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, fellas.
No, absolutely. We'll have to wait and see how much of this is.
He's 27. It's another Benji sort of catastrophe waiting to happen, isn't it? He's like at 27. He's going to take a couple of seasons to get back up to speed with rugby. He'll be 29. It's a risk, and then like the dollars are just not going to be there, are they?
Yeah, I personally, I don't think he should. I think he should. You know, he's one of the top rugby league players in the world, and it's best to stick with the devil that you actually know what you're good at, where your brand is. I mean, so I don't think he's going to get anywhere near the money that he's currently on at the moment. Not to mention, towards the end of his career, he could head over and play Super League and pick even more money up. That's just me. And to be fair to the Warriors, they are building quite nicely. You know, there's a few new signings that they've made, and I just think that they could be on the cusp of something. You know, we've seen some improvement. We'll soon find out where they are in the scheme of things this weekend when they take on the Panthers tomorrow night at 8 p.m.
Hughes Roosters.
It's not always about the money though. It's also about the family as well. And if it is just a one season thing, just while he can then play NRL in New Zealand, perhaps he might do it for more family reasons rather than monetary ones. And maybe the Warriors will give him a sabbatical for a year. Who knows? We'll see how flexible they will be. Moving on then into the netball, and in the netball, the ANZ Premiership have cancelled the final round and given all the teams a draw. The final round wasn't going to alter the positions in the table anyway, so you can understand why the ANZ Premiership have made that decision. With the current COVID levels, that means the finals series, which is happening on the 23rd of August, will be the Steel versus the Magic, the Mystics versus the Stars, and the Pulse versus the Tactics. Obviously, they are all due to be held down in Invercargill in the ILT Stadium down there. So obviously, that's all depending on various COVID levels, but that is a current plan for the ANZ Premiership. Then also over in the F1 and in Formula 1, they have two deadlines for teams to sign up for next season. They have now been postponed. The first one by 6 days to allow more talks to go ahead. You got to say, it's with the uncertainty around everything, it's very difficult to sign up for future seasons, and also with various appeals going on around technical rules. You can understand why there are lots of talks going on behind the scenes in Formula One at the moment. Back here in New Zealand, and the Winter Games continued under level 2 protocols down there, and Team Wells won the Big Air, but that sees them in second place because Team Kuzma played their Joker, which doubled their points, and that saw them get into first place with 160 points. Team Wells 100 points, and Team Smoothie at the back there on 60 points. Yep, you can follow all the Winter Games action. Just check out their Facebook page, and as that continues over the next few days. You have now started the day the best way, up to speed with all of the important sports news. Stay safe, everybody, and don't forget to join us at 8 p.m. this evening on with Swinging from the Hip, and we'll be followed. Obviously, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. With the morning sports briefing to help you start your day the best way.